So I love Jewish music because it's as diverse as the Jewish diaspora itself. Even if you don't know how to speak Hebrew or you don't understand the words of the prayers, there's this comfort in the tunes and the melodies, and the experience of singing or praying together as one is a very powerful thing. And one of the reasons why people come to synagogue is to sit and sing and pray with others.
ערב של שושנים נצאנה אל הבוסתן מור בסמים ולבונה לרגלך מבטן.
I'm Lena Gillis Satzman. We moved here in June of 1967 and moved into the new apartment buildings at 380 Gibb. And at that time, the Oshawa Center was just being built.
Hi, I'm Dave, and I've lived in Oshawa since I was born in 1970, so 51 years. Went to the same high school as my dad. He went to high school O'Neill when O'Neill was the principal.
Hi, my name is Louis Black. My father came here in 1920. I was born in 33. Now I know where I got my ears from. Remember, everything I tell you is from memory, so there may be the odd mistake. My dad opened Black's Menswear, and that was around 36. It was at the northwest corner of Prince and King, right across from the current Michael Starr building. But the earliest Jewish couple in Oshawa was in 1900 approximately, and it was the Swartz family, S-W-A-R-T-Z. Now there were other early Jewish settlers. The Engels, they had a department store, 2 stories, on the first block of Simcoe on the west side, north of King.
One of the early Jewish businesses in Oshawa was my grandfather's business. He must have started it in the 30s or 40s, maybe a bit later, I don't know the exact timeline. It was called the Model Shoe Store. It was right downtown Oshawa, right across from the Regent Theater. And I just remember it was there, and then later on when I was a kid, it became a tattoo shop, and then another store, and then a soup kitchen, and now it's becoming something else.
My dad spoke all the languages, so he's very successful in business. My uncle bought my dad out, and he opened a ladies' wear only on Simcoe Street at 70 Simcoe Street North.
And Wilson's Furniture Store, of course. That's the Shermans. Their grandfather started it. So it's been here for a long, 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 long time.
Those days, business was a pleasure because people were basically honest. My father would arrange credit on a handshake.
When we moved to Oshawa, there were probably about 60 to 70 families, and there were about 10 or 12 younger families.
Very tight-knit and very supportive, and I think that's really important, so you have that sense of community.
Louis Black's wife played bridge with my husband, so they were big bridge buddies.
Along with Oshawa, the community grew during the war. I think it prospered during the 50s and 60s.
Some of the early places the Jewish community socialized were mostly it was in shul, in the synagogue. Every Saturday was the services, the main services, and after the services you'd have what's called a kiddush.
Morton and Nat had to be the most welcoming people I've ever met in my life. They were very active in the Jewish community.
I grew up in Orange Crescent, and that's where the rabbi's house was too, and we'd get invited over to the rabbis every once in a while.
So I know that this synagogue was originally, the Jewish community would meet at Engel Hall, which was just a building owned by the Engel family.
Yeah, I went there actually. In the early days, we had a very small community. We met in houses. We had a succession of rabbis. Some were much better with kids than others. In 1952, they bought the old McLaughlin house on 144 King East. There's a picture somewhere of my grandmother with a shovel breaking soil. That's the inside of the current synagogue. I usually sit right there. And that white back seat is my father's. I won't sit there.
One of the things you see in a lot of Jewish music is it will take one verse out of Psalms or out of the prayer book and then just repeat it, almost like a mantra.
שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
So this is the bima, the pulpit of the synagogue. This is where we lead the services from. I'm not a rabbi, I'm a lay leader in the congregation. So if I am leading services or if I'm dealing with the Torah, I will use a traditional talit, a prayer shawl, and a kippah on my head. All of these symbols around the ark represent the shields or the symbols of the 12 tribes of Israel. So each one of these represents one of the 12 tribes. Above, on the top of the ark, we have two lions, Lion of Judah, and then we have the 10 Commandments. And then above, there's a crown, and the letter Kaf and the letter Tav, which means Keter Torah, or the crown of the Torah. So this is the Torah scroll. Often you'll see Torahs are decorated with crowns and or breastplates, which is sort of part of that tradition of adorning the Torah to make it special. So the Torah scroll is actually on these wood spindles, which are also called Eitz Chaim, or the Tree of Life. This Torah is quite old. Our synagogue's been around for a long time, so some of them, they were donated by different people over the years. And what's in here is the 5 books of Moses, and there's sort of 2 types of laws that are in the Torah. There's the ethical laws and the ritual laws. Every Saturday morning you do a different portion, and then there's certain portions that are done for specific holidays. So what happens is there's a holiday in the fall called Simchat Torah, and what happens is you're at the end and you finish off the end, and then we have a big celebration where we take out all the Torahs and we parade them around the synagogue, and we're dancing and singing.
Hanukkah was a time of celebration. It was 8 days long. It celebrated the fact that the Jews took back Israel.
Hanukkah is not a major holiday on the calendar, on the Jewish calendar, but it's a major holiday for kids.
It was basically a time of fun.
You get presents during it, but the only reason you get presents, like in the old country and in like Eastern Europe, they never got presents. Because it's so close to the time of Christmas, when people moved to North America, I guess the kids got upset, so they just adopted it.
My memories of Hanukkah are very, very simple compared to what they are now.
The kids would be given a gift a day. Nothing big.
This is a menorah. It's my family menorah, so I've had this since I was a kid.
This I bought in Israel when I went to Israel in 1963 to work on a kibbutz.
So it has 8 lower candles, because there's 8 days of Hanukkah. On the first day of Hanukkah, you would put 1 candle here, and then the main shamas candle there, and you would light this candle. And then you would pick it up, and because you couldn't put the match to that candle, you'd have to light it with this candle, and then you would say the Hanukkah prayer. It was like a sing-song thing, and the kids really liked it, and then you'd put it back, and then on the second day there'd be 2 candles, third night 3 candles, etc., and then finally 8 candles at the end, and they'd all be burning bright. We got taught in Hebrew school that you got to be proud that you're Jewish and proud that it's Hanukkah, so you were supposed to put it in front of the window so the whole community could see that you're lighting your menorah, so I remember doing that.
Hanukkah for us was, lighting the candles. We got 1 present. My mother made potato pancakes, and that was the whole rigmarole because they were grated by hand, so there was always a little bit of skin in there, a little bit of swearing, and crying from the onions.
It was like the only time of year I got the potato pancakes, liked having sour cream on them. Some people have, like my dad, he liked having applesauce, but I was a big sour cream guy.
I can remember my mother threatening with my life if I ever told my next door neighbor there was no Santa Claus. So I always felt that I was very smart because I knew something that she didn't. And the same with the Easter Bunny. But my gosh, there was a tooth fairy.
So the calendar that we follow every day, January, February, March, April, etc., the one the whole world follows the sun. It's a solar calendar. So the Jewish calendar follows the lunar cycle.
So that's why our holidays shift.
Hanukkah is generally close to Christmas every year because it follows a different calendar. Sometimes it's before Christmas, sometimes it's after, sometimes Christmas because it's 8 days long, sometimes Christmas may be in the middle.
The high holidays are very religious.
Sabbath is the most important.
We just had the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah, and the holiest day of the year called Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement.
Passover is 8 days. Hanukkah is 8 days. Rosh Hashanah, that whole period is supposed to be time of reflection and thinking about what you've done and what you can do better.
אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא.
The population as a whole remembers who they are.
My dad taught me about succeeding in life. You want to have a good job and stuff like that, but it's also doing the right thing and helping people no matter who it is.
Any person who is part of sort of the larger community, to know about somebody who is part of a smaller community, no matter what it is that we're all people.
My dad's name was Mort Martyr, and I know there's a common saying with some Christian people called WJD, what would Jesus do? And whenever I'm in a conundrum, I do WMD, what would Mort do? And usually the right answer comes to me. And I guess that would be it.